Most Toyota owners don't realize how much their car is already doing for them. Not because they're careless, not because the features are complicated, but because Toyota doesn't design its smartest systems to announce themselves. They're built into the logic of the car, not highlighted in bold print or flashy menus. That's why longtime Toyota owners tend to look more relaxed behind the wheel. Their cars feel easier to live with, not because they drive differently, but because they understand what the car is quietly handling in the background. In this video, we're going to walk through a group of Toyota features most owners never use. You may recognize and have used one or two, but 9 out of 10 Toyota owners have used all of them. No modifications. No added cost. Everything you'll hear is factory built. And once you know how these systems work, daily ownership gets calmer, safer, and less stressful. If you've owned your Toyota long enough to feel like it just works, tap like, subscribe, and tell me what you drive. I see every comment, and experienced owners usually recognize these features the moment they're explained. Let's start with a feature that saves wheels, tires, and nerves without drawing any attention to itself. Many Toyota models include automatic mirror tilt when reversing, but most owners never realize it's there. When you shift into reverse, the side mirrors can automatically angle downward to give you a clear view of the curb and parking lines. This makes tight parking easier and helps prevent curb rash on wheels, especially on vehicles with larger rims. What most people don't know is that Toyota allows you to train the mirror position. While the vehicle is in reverse, you can adjust the mirrors to the exact angle you prefer. The system remembers that position. The next time you reverse, the mirrors tilt automatically. Shift back into drive, and they return to normal. Once it's set, it requires no thought. It just works. You'll find this feature more often on higher trims like Camry XL, RAV4, Limited, and Highlander Platinum, but even when it's available, owners often overlook it because Toyota doesn't make a big deal out of it. That pattern repeats with cabin comfort systems. Most Toyota owners are familiar with the recirculation button on the climate controls. Press it, and the car cycles interior air instead of pulling air from outside. What many owners don't realize is that some Toyota systems include a hidden airflow behavior tied to this button. Holding the recirculation button for a few seconds on certain models increases airflow through the cabin air filter temporarily. The goal isn't cooling, it's air quality. This helps clear odors, smoke, dust, or pollen faster, especially after the car has been sitting in heat or near traffic. Pair this with a quality cabin air filter, and the cabin clears noticeably quicker. It's a small adjustment that makes daily driving more comfortable, particularly for drivers sensitive to air quality. Another feature Toyota quietly built in is one that prevents panic when it matters most. If your Toyota uses push-button start and the key fob battery dies, most owners assume the car won't start. That assumption leads to unnecessary roadside calls and stress. Toyota planned ahead. Even with a dead battery, the key fob still contains a passive RFID chip. When the fob is held close to the start button, the car can read that chip directly. No battery power is required. The engine will start. On some models, there's also a hidden key slot near the steering column or under trim panels. On others, simply pressing the fob against the start button is enough. This system works on many Camry, Corolla, RAV4, and Prius models. It's not a backup trick. It's part of Toyota's design philosophy. Never strand the driver over something simple. Once you know it, the situation stops being stressful. Toyota applies the same logic to its connected safety systems. Many newer Toyotas include Safety Connect, a built-in emergency response system that works quietly until it's needed. There's an SOS button near the rearview mirror that connects you to a live Toyota agent at any time. Roadside assistance, emergency services, or police can be dispatched directly to your location. In a serious collision, the system can activate automatically. If the vehicle detects a severe impact and you can't respond, Toyota's response center is alerted immediately, and emergency services are dispatched using GPS data. There's also stolen vehicle tracking. Once a police report is filed, Toyota can assist law enforcement with real-time vehicle location. Owners often overlook this system because it sits silently in the background. But when something goes wrong, seconds matter. Toyota designed Safety Connect to respond without hesitation. All of that relies on another area most drivers forget about: sensor cleanliness. Toyota's Safety Sense depends on two main components: a camera mounted behind the windshield near the rearview mirror, and a radar sensor hidden behind the Toyota badge on the front grille. If either one is blocked by dirt, grime, stickers, or accessories, safety features like pre-collision assist, lane tracing, and adaptive cruise control can stop working properly. Keeping the windshield clean around the camera area and gently wiping the badge on the grille goes a long way. Avoid placing dash cams, stickers, or sunshades near those areas. Toyota's safety systems are extremely reliable, but only when their sensors can see clearly. Parking assistance is another area where Toyota hides capability instead of advertising it. Some models include a bird's-eye view camera, giving you a 360-degree top-down image of the vehicle. What many owners don't know is that pressing the camera button again switches the view to focus on the wheels, making it easier to avoid curbs and align perfectly in tight spaces. Toyota also offers parking assist on certain models. Once activated through the settings menu, the system takes over steering during parallel or perpendicular parking while you control the brake and accelerator. It's not flashy. It's not aggressive. It's designed to reduce stress, not impress passengers. Another feature hidden in plain sight is climate control diagnostic mode. On many Toyotas, pressing and holding specific act buttons while turning the fan knob activates a built-in self-check. The system displays diagnostic codes that confirm whether sensors are functioning properly. If everything is working, you'll see normal codes. If something isn't, the system points you in the right direction before you start guessing or paying for unnecessary diagnostics. Toyota included this to reduce uncertainty, not to show off. Even windshield wipers get the Toyota treatment. Many newer Toyotas include wiper service mode. After turning the car off, tapping the wiper stalk within a short window lifts the wipers into an upright position for easy blade replacement or cleaning. No forcing the arms. No risk of damaging the hood or motor. Simple, deliberate, and easy once you know it exists. All of these features share something important. They're not tricks. They're not hacks. They're not shortcuts. They're Toyota quietly doing what Toyota does best: reducing friction, preventing problems, and letting experience reveal the design. And this is only the beginning. Once owners realize how many systems are working quietly in the background, something else becomes clear. Toyota doesn't design features to be impressive on day one. It designs them to make ownership easier over years. That's why so many of these functions aren't obvious until you either need them or live with the car long enough to notice patterns. A perfect example of that is how Toyota handles software and electronic stability. Modern Toyotas are full of computers, but Toyota doesn't want owners constantly interacting with them. That's why many systems have built-in reset logic that doesn't require tools, scanners, or battery disconnects. Take the infotainment system. When it freezes or becomes slow, many owners immediately assume something is broken. Some disconnect the battery, which often creates more problems than it solves: warning lights, relearn cycles, clock resets. Toyota anticipated this. Most Toyota infotainment units can be safely rebooted by holding the volume or power knob for several seconds. The system performs a soft reset, clearing temporary glitches without affecting vehicle settings or safety systems. It's a quiet solution to a minor problem. Toyota doesn't advertise it because it doesn't want drivers obsessing over screens. It just wants the system to recover and move on. That same quiet recovery philosophy shows up again with driving behavior and safety systems. After certain services, wheel alignments, battery replacements, suspension work, some Toyota owners notice subtle changes. Lane assist may feel slightly different. Steering might not feel perfectly centered. Adaptive cruise control may behave a bit more cautiously. This worries people. But Toyota safety systems aren't designed to instantly snap back to a factory state. They're designed to relearn gradually based on real-world driving. Cameras, steering angle sensors, and yaw sensors collect data over normal driving conditions and recalibrate themselves in the background. Toyota prefers this adaptive approach because roads, tires, and driving styles aren't static. A few calm drives at normal speeds are usually all it takes. Staying within lane markings and avoiding aggressive steering helps the system settle faster. Long-time owners understand this. They don't rush back to the dealer. They give the car time to adjust. Another area where Toyota behavior confuses new owners but makes sense with experience is driving mode memory. Some Toyotas remember the last driving mode used. Others always start in normal mode. This feels inconsistent if you don't understand the logic behind it. Toyota prioritizes predictable startup behavior. Normal mode allows the engine, transmission, and hybrid systems to warm up under controlled conditions. Emissions stabilize. Oil pressure builds evenly. Eco and sport modes are considered temporary adjustments. Toyota doesn't want aggressive throttle mapping or altered shift behavior during cold starts or short trips. This isn't Toyota ignoring your preference, it's Toyota protecting the drivetrain. Once owners understand that, the behavior stops being annoying and starts feeling intentional. That same logic applies to tire pressure information, another feature many owners assume their car doesn't have. Toyota deliberately avoids cluttering the instrument cluster. Instead of showing tire pressures constantly, the information is placed inside the multi-information display, accessed through steering wheel controls or vehicle menus. Once you know where to look, it becomes one of the most useful maintenance tools in the car. You can check all 4 tires accurately without a gauge or a shop visit. Proper tire pressure improves fuel economy, steering feel, braking performance, and tire life. It also reduces stress on suspension components. Toyota includes this feature to encourage regular checks without overwhelming the driver. Another system that behaves smarter than most people realize is automatic headlight logic. Toyota headlights don't just react to darkness. They factor in ambient light, vehicle speed, and even windshield wiper activity. When the wipers are on, the system assumes visibility is reduced and activates the headlights earlier. Some drivers think the lights turn on too soon or stay on too long. In reality, Toyota designed the system to anticipate risk instead of reacting late. It's not about convenience, it's about visibility and safety. Once you understand that logic, the system feels thoughtful instead of unpredictable. Interior lighting follows a similar philosophy. Toyota interior lights often have adjustable fade timing, door activation behavior, and automatic shutoff settings hidden inside vehicle menus. These options improve comfort and reduce battery drain when doors are left open. Toyota hides these settings to keep menus simple. But once adjusted, the cabin feels tuned to the driver's habits. Owners who find these options tend to forget about them entirely, because the car behaves the way they expect. Then there's the Toyota app, which many owners underuse. Most people stop at remote lock and unlock, but Toyota designed the app as a vehicle management tool. It allows owners to control access permissions, manage notifications, and reduce unnecessary background communication that can drain the battery. This is especially useful for families, teenagers, or shared vehicles. It's also helpful for owners who don't drive daily and want to minimize parasitic drain. Owners who explore these settings usually experience fewer surprises. Owners who don't often assume odd behavior is a fault rather than a configuration choice. Toyota assumes long-term owners will eventually explore deeper. All of these systems share one thing: they don't demand attention. Toyota doesn't believe in interrupting the driver unless absolutely necessary. It builds layers of logic that work quietly, adjusting behavior based on context. That's why newer owners sometimes feel unsure at first. The car isn't constantly explaining itself. Long-time owners stop asking the car to explain. They learn its patterns instead. And once that happens, ownership becomes calmer. Fewer surprises. Less second-guessing. More trust in what the car is doing when you aren't watching. Which is exactly where Toyota wants you. Because these hidden features aren't about control. They're about confidence. At a certain point, Toyota ownership stops feeling like ownership at all. The car fades into the background. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't surprise you. It behaves the way you expect it to behave, day after day, year after year. And that's usually the moment people realize why Toyotas last the way they do. It isn't because they're indestructible. It's because they're predictable. Everything we've covered in this video points to the same philosophy. Toyota doesn't design features to impress you the first week you own the car. It designs systems that quietly reduce friction over time. Fewer emergencies. Fewer surprises. Fewer moments where you feel like something is wrong when nothing actually is. That's why so many of these features feel invisible. Mirror tilt doesn't announce itself, it just saves your wheels. Sensor logic doesn't notify you constantly. It just works, until it can't see clearly. Battery saver modes don't flash warnings. They quietly protect you when the car sits. Toyota assumes the driver doesn't want to manage the car. The driver wants the car to manage itself. Once you understand that, you stop fighting the vehicle. You stop trying to override every behavior. You stop assuming every change is a problem. You stop reacting emotionally to things that are actually normal. That shift alone prevents a lot of unnecessary stress and expense. It also explains why long-time Toyota owners tend to trust their cars more than average. They've seen the patterns repeat. They've watched small behaviors prevent bigger issues. They've learned when to intervene and when to leave things alone. That kind of confidence doesn't come from a manual, it comes from experience. Toyota builds its vehicles expecting that experience to accumulate over time. It doesn't assume the first owner will know everything, it assumes the second or third owner will still benefit from decisions made years earlier. That's why features like Safety Connect, sensor redundancy, adaptive learning, and conservative defaults matter. They're not there to show off. They're there to reduce the number of moments where something goes wrong without warning. And that's also why Toyota tends to hide customization instead of advertising it. Interior lighting settings. App permissions. Driving behavior feedback. Diagnostic modes. These things are available, but Toyota doesn't force them into your face. It lets owners discover them when they're ready. That approach frustrates people who expect instant explanations, but it rewards people who stay long enough to notice how the car behaves across seasons, across years, across mileage. When you reach that point, the car stops feeling complicated. You understand why the headlights behave the way they do. You understand why the car relocks itself. You understand why systems relearn instead of resetting instantly. And once you understand those things, you stop worrying about them. That's a big reason Toyotas age so gracefully. Not because nothing ever wears out, but because owners aren't constantly escalating small normal behaviors into big, expensive reactions. They know the difference between a warning and a pattern, between a fault and a feature, between something that needs attention and something that just needs time. That understanding alone saves thousands of dollars over the life of the car. It also changes how people talk about their Toyotas. You'll notice long-time owners don't brag much. They don't describe their cars as exciting or cutting edge. They describe them as dependable, predictable, easy to live with. Those words don't sound impressive until you've owned something that wasn't. That's when Toyota's design choices start to feel intentional instead of boring. And that's why these hidden features matter. Not because they're secret, not because they're clever, but because they reveal how Toyota thinks about ownership. Toyota doesn't want you interacting with the car constantly. It wants the car to quietly support you while you live your life, to step in when something matters, to stay out of the way when it doesn't. Once you understand that, everything else about the car starts to make sense. If you've owned your Toyota long enough to notice these patterns, share the one feature or behavior that confused you at first and later clicked. I see every comment, and those moments are where real ownership wisdom lives. And if some of this is new to you, that's fine too. Toyota doesn't rush the lesson, it lets time do the teaching. That's why people keep them so long. And that's why, years from now, your Toyota will probably still be doing its job quietly, without asking for credit.